So my fiance picked up Nioh 2 for me as a gift, because thankfully she supports my Gamer Boy habits. I'm still playing through it, but I gotta say I'm definitely getting into it more than I did the original. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that you don't play as an average white dude that looks like the Kmart version of Geralt. I get that the original game's protagonist was based on the actual person William Adams, an Englishman who wound up in Japan in the late 1500s. Plus he ended up becoming the first Western samurai, thus accomplishing every edgy weeb's dream. But come on, just look at the guy. I'm not knocking the real William Adams, just this digital pastiche of him. Video game William is a loaf of fucking Wonder Bread. In Nioh 2, you get to create your own character. Letting me play as a half-demon samurai of my own creation is infinitely more cool than just being some basic white dude in Japan. Fortunately, I can play as damn near anyone I want to because this character creator is shockingly deep. Just look at some of these characters that people have recreated in this engine. You got Majima Goro from Yakuza, Big Boss from Metal Gear, you got Kanye West from Kanye West, handsome, goddamn Squidward. This customization engine is outstanding, definitely one of the highlights of the game. You don't even have to sit there and follow a step-by-step formula to achieve this look. You just punch in a code and boom, Squidward. In no time flat, you're jumping around feudal Japan, dumpstering some yokai and looking damn good doing it with that pair of butt cheeks hanging off your chin. Nioh 2 is a prequel to the original game, while also following in its footsteps by weaving real Japanese history into the game's narrative. At the end of the first mission, you meet a traveling merchant named Tokichiro. The two of you team up and bebop around Japan to knock yokai back to the Shadow Realm. They begin working together under the name of Toyotomi Hideyoshi, who in real life was a samurai ruler, known as one of the great unifiers of Japan. But this game and the original aren't carried by their stories. Not saying that the stories are bad by any means, but really it's the gameplay that brings people to the dance. If you aren't familiar, Nioh kinda slots into that whole Souls-like subgenre. It uses a lot of the familiar trappings like punishing difficulty and checkpoints that respawn enemies when used, though it forgoes the pseudo-open world design and instead is broken up into main and sub-missions. The main story missions are bigger, more sprawling levels with multiple checkpoints, shortcuts, mini-bosses, all that good stuff. The sub-missions are smaller areas with usually a mini-boss or wave of enemies waiting for you at the end. Each of them give you gear for completing them, and they're replayable if you're in the mood to grind. The gameplay and combat is nearly identical to the first game. It's sort of in between Bloodborne and Dark Souls in terms of the general franticness of the combat. Let me actually try to explain that. You'll definitely feel rushed or hurried when in combat, especially against some of the bigger yokai that sometimes feel like they never stop attacking. I frequently was taking my right thumb off of the stick to use healing items in fights because I had to keep moving. Though there were also plenty of times where I was playing more methodically, circle strafing around bosses, waiting for their animations to finish, and picking off enemies at long range with a bow or rifle. The biggest gripes I have with Nioh 2 come from the gameplay as well. Get ready to hear some Johns because I'm about to sound like one salty bitch right now. I feel like the damage levels you take are super high. Doesn't seem to matter what gear I have on or how big my health number is, half of the bar can disappear after taking 2 or 3 hits from a basic enemy. I get that the game is meant to be punishing and you should really feel the weight of your mistakes, but it just seems a little too punishing. And it's not like I'm going into these missions crazy under-leveled or anything. I'm usually right around the recommended level. Am I sounding like a whiny baby yet? Because goddamn I felt like one writing that. Maybe the problem could be solved by crafting, or in this case soul matching, an armor set from the blacksmith, which I would love to wrap my head around if it weren't for the fact that things can get really confusing. For instance, this whole soul core mechanic. It lets you take moves from defeated yokai and use them yourself. However, the menu you use to assign these moves is 100% confusing. You get the list of soul cores after you complete the area or rest at a shrine after getting one from an enemy. First, it pops up telling you that they're ready, then it brings you to a list of options that I can't begin to explain. Then you clumsily try to assign it to one of the buttons. The first few times I did this, I had to double and triple pass over all the options because I couldn't tell if it was actually assigned or not. I've had so many systems and mechanics thrown at me in these menus. For the first couple of hours, it was like I couldn't open the menu without having something new pop up. Not to mention all of the weapons and armor pieces and consumables and curatives and all other kinds of stuff you'll be picking up. So much of my time in these missions has been spent just looking through my inventory to see what that thing I just picked up actually does. Granted, it's all useful in one way or another, but there is so much of it. Okay, I think I got all that out of my system. Those are all just my personal gripes, and if I'm wrong about anything, please do call me out in the comments. Overall, I'm enjoying my time with Nioh 2. There is plenty to love about the game. It's definitely worth playing if you're a fan of the genre, which, fucking duh. Though newcomers might get overwhelmed by the sheer amount of menus that need to be explained and the massive wealth of items and gear to pick up. I'm going to try to see Nioh 2 through to the end, though I'm worried it's just going to get drowned out by all the other releases this year.